Hello, I'm Mark Hughes. Welcome to this edition of Disability Viewpoints. My co-host this time is Amani Cruzen, and we're going to talk to some folks from the Daniels Music Foundation and learn a little something about rhythm and music and singing and instruments and everything else. So, Amani, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mark. I'm looking forward to this. I'm interviewing Scott Schmitz, an instructor with Daniels Music Foundation, and we'll be taking some time to try out a live rhythm activity as well as some music instruction. So I think it'll be a really fun show today.
Good. And I had talked about you on our phone conversation with him earlier in the week and told him you were from the Hubbard Media Journalism School at the University of Minnesota. So we gave you a good plug too, and we're proud of that.
Thank you, Mark.
You bet. And so we have a local show today that has a New York flair. So we're kind of taking this national. And Daniels Music Foundation is somebody that recognized our show on the website. So we're totally honored. And so we're going to get to all this in just a couple of minutes here on Disability Viewpoint. Stay tuned. Hello, I'm Mark Hughes. Welcome to this edition of Disability Viewpoints. We have a local show today with a national flair. We have two guests from New York that actually found out about our show on our website. So I'm honored to have Ken and Daniel from Daniels Music Foundation.
Hi,
Welcome, welcome to
hello.
the show.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I want to know, first of all, we're going to have you tell us a little bit about yourselves and how and why Daniels Music Foundation was created.
Sure. First off, I'm Ken,
And I'm Daniel.
and so Daniel's music would never have started without this guy next to me.
Uh,
He used music in his life, but why don't you tell everyone what happened to, I don't know, 20 plus years
okay,
ago?
sure. So on March 9th of 1997, while I was playing basketball one Sunday afternoon at my school gym, one of my 5 undetected brain aneurysms burst
Oh,
into my head. I went into a coma and I was in a coma for 30 days, and I was in the hospital and rehab for a total of 341 days. But who's counting? Am I right?
you're right about that. Well,
And we used music when Daniel was in the hospital. We would sing to Daniel, we would play music, but you were always musical, right?
Yeah, I've been musical since I was a little kid. So when I was 7 to 9, I played the guitar. And then when I was 9 to 12, I played the trumpet.
And now?
And now I've taken up the keyboard and I sing.
And
sounds
so
like a lot of great talent there.
Thank you.
And so we looked online and we were looking for programs, music programs for people with disability, and we couldn't, right? We
Yeah,
couldn't.
we couldn't find anything. So we said, why don't we just create it?
Wow.
So we founded Daniel's Music Foundation back in 2006. We started with just one keyboard class and only 5 musicians. And today we have our very own big, beautiful 8,700 square foot music center in Manhattan.
Great. Good for you. See, hard work pays off, doesn't it?
Definitely. Yep, it does.
So, with that, tell us about the programs that you have for Daniels Music Foundation and the community you serve there.
Well, in the center, what we have help, we have 8,700 square
Yeah.
feet, and we have what?
We have 5 music studios, a recording studio, and a cafe aptly named Snackapella.
Great.
And what kind of programs do we do there, Danny? We have
We have the free program for about 300, musicians,
and then we have field,
and then we have field trips for special ed schools,
and then private.
and we have private lessons where our musicians can really delve into
Right.
specific instruments.
So we serve about 300 people every week, and then we have the school. So over the course of the year, it's probably around 10,000 people with disabilities come
Gr-
through the center.
Yeah.
Great, that sounds like a great number. Now, can you customize these programs to to the individual or group needs?
Yes.
We always have what, a genre and
Yeah, we always, each semester we have a different genre or topic.
right, feeling, right?
Yeah, feeling.
And then we delve into that genre, and then they perform songs. And we have what, a music festival?
Yeah, we have a music festival where about 500 people come through it.
That's great.
And watch out all the talent of our
Yeah,
musicians.
yep, it's true.
How do you
So,
how do you market that?
A lot of it's word of mouth, and then a lot of the social workers here in New York City learned about Daniel's music. We felt, that it was very important for it to be free, the program, and so people couldn't believe it. They thought, well, there must be a gimmick going. There's no gimmick. It's free.
Yeah.
Well, I commend you for all your hard work. Now, with the global pandemic, how has that affected Daniel's Music Foundation, and what has been your overall response?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, unfortunately, the music center is now closed, and it's been closed for about 7 months. But it did give us the opportunity to start working on our virtual community, which we always had in the back of our mind. So our staff from the center went right into work from home and into the virtual community. And now we have 3 programs within the virtual community, right? We have live,
We have live events,
we have DMF on,
we have DMF on demand, and we have virtual dance parties.
and then, yeah, and then music lessons. So
Yeah.
Great, great.
expanded from New York City to nationally and even internationally.
Yeah.
Great, great. So, what would you like the people of Minnesota to know about Daniel's Music Foundation, and how can we participate here in Minnesota?
Now, look, the first thing is we want you to know that music should be in everyone's life.
Yeah.
We believe that music is a right, not a privilege, and that everyone from Minnesota can participate in a couple ways. Number one, we have an instructor in Minnesota,
Mhm.
Scott, who I think is going to be on in a little bit.
Right.
But they can come on our website and go on to virtual community. They can check out our on-demand videos. They can come to our live events. We have about 8 events every single week, every month rather. And tonight we have a dance party, actually called Baseball versus Basketball.
Yeah.
And so people are going to dress up to their favorite sport.
Great. Sounds great. Sounds great. And what are your hopes and goals for Daniel's Music Foundation, and how do you plan to reach them in the future?
Well, the first thing is we want to be national and not just serve the metropolitan area.
Right.
And we hired a marketing firm. We're doing advertising on a lot of the social channels, but we want people to feel comfortable with services and the music that we provide. And so we want people to be part of a larger community,
Mhm.
especially people that feel isolated and it's hard for people to get out.
Well, and especially now with the pandemic, you've got the virtual. That's a very good idea for people to still be involved.
And it's just growing, and we're having a lot of fun. And the other thing, the people from your state, Minnesota, we have something called the Danny Awards,
Right.
which we once a year. And so if there's any musicians out there, the next one's going to be in October 2021, where we get entries from all around the world. We pick 10 honorees, we fly them into New York City,
Mhm.
and then they perform on stage. We just had that in March,
Mhm.
and the next one is next year, 1 year from now. So they can
Right.
participate that way as
Yeah.
well.
Could you send me some information? We could probably put on our community calendar here on the webpage.
We love that, yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah, we'll do that for you. And now the final word segment is coming up, and I know you also have a special announcement here on Disability Viewpoints that we want to get to.
Yes. Now, so we have so much fun with our virtual live events, and we just thought, why not have a big virtual dance party in Minnesota?
Yeah.
And we're going to give that completely on us. The cost, it's going to be free scholarship. We'll get a date. If it's okay with you, Mark, we'll get a date on the calendar, and we'll have one of our DJs, and we'll just have a really good time. dancing in our home.
Uh,
Sounds great, and when we reveal who the winner's gonna be here on the show, that's another show, I would like to include you so you know who it is and they know
Oh,
who you are.
yeah, definitely.
we might even show up at the dance party, show off some
Well,
moves.
absolutely, yeah,
So,
absolutely. Sounds great. You're always welcome in Minnesota.
Thank
thank
you.
you so much.
Thanks, Mark.
Now, a final word segment. Is there anything we may have forgotten in the last few minutes? Or
Well,
anything you want to
I,
cover?
I think the main thing is that, everyone has music in them. And sometimes we look at music as something that you have to be able to perform or a session performer. But music is in all of us. And
Yeah,
so, give it a try. You don't have to go to Carnegie Hall. Just enjoy music, express yourself,
yeah.
That's
and come with us at
that's
danielsmusic.org.
thank you guys for Ken and Daniel very much for being on. And we're going to take a break here at Disability Viewpoints, but we'll be right back.
Today, my guest is Scott Schmitz with Daniels Music Foundation. He is an instructor with the foundation. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so just to start, I would love to hear some of your background in music education and with Daniels Music Foundation.
Yeah, certainly. So I actually have a degree in music therapy, and I got started right here in Minnesota. I did my training at the Fraser School, where I got really excited about the population of children and young adults with developmental disabilities. So right out of my internship, I started a business here in the Greater Twin Cities area of doing in-home music therapy with children and adults with developmental disabilities. And then about 3 years ago, my life took an unexpected turn, and I was moving out to New York City. And I got connected with Ken and Daniel and became really excited about the work that they were doing. And it was very similar in terms of the people that I was serving. But the focus of the work at Daniel's Music Foundation is so much more about joy and personal fulfillment and allowing our musicians to express themselves, and it just was a really natural fit. It fit exactly in line with what I was hoping to be doing, and since then, I've been teaching group classes, private lessons. I host some of our events, and yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And could you tell me what a typical Daniels Music Foundation is lesson is like and what students can typically expect?
Yeah, it's very, varied. It's between lessons can look very different. Our youngest students are sometimes as little as 3 years old, and I believe at one point we had somebody in, either their 70s or their 80s participating in, one of our group classes. So between the age of ranges, and we serve a mixed disability population that incorporates those with physical disabilities and those with developmental disabilities. So, an average lesson can look very different depending on who I'm working with. The one thing that stays consistent between all of the lessons and all the classes that we offer is that we're really focused on the individual. So, we meet people where they're at. We find out where their strengths are, where they need a little bit of extra support, and we tailor the instruction to who they are and what they want to accomplish. We don't impose any curriculum or any artificial goals on anyone. We just say, hey, who are you? What do you want to learn? What gets you excited? Why did you come here for music lessons? And then we find something to help them reach those goals.
Okay. And it sounds like you have an example of a lesson prepared for us, a rhythm activity. So, could you tell us maybe first a little bit about this and then we could get started with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to. So, when we're putting together any kind of lesson plan, given that we have this mixed disability population, I'm always thinking about how I can incorporate every learner in the room. So with a rhythm activity like this, where we're going to be doing some drumming on either ourself or a surface around us, I'm always thinking about those that may have a physical disability, how we can adapt. So this activity uses, patting on a surface and clapping. For somebody who that may not be a good fit for, I may direct them just to be using one hand to pat on the chest. Requires a little bit of a lower range of motion there. For our folks whose disability may be something that's along the lines of cognition and learning style, the biggest thing that I've learned in doing this is that repetition is the biggest gift that I can give to my students. So I'll often jump into a pattern and I'll repeat it 9 or 10 times just so that they have the opportunity to continue practicing it with me as the activity goes on. So, if folks are interested in following along, I always encourage people to find a table, find a chair like I have, no glass, no ceramic, nothing breakable. And always, 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 we stress this every activity we do, be gentle on your surfaces and yourself. Here we go. One, two, three, clap. Yeah, was that fun?
That was great. I've never had this much fun in the afternoon.
So thank you again, Scott. And since the foundation offers a few types of lessons, and you mentioned there's a lot of variety within lessons, do you have any tips for how someone could pick the best sort of lesson for them?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of preconceived notions around like the best way to start a lesson. I hear a lot of parents tell me that, oh, my kid needs to start with piano. That's the way you start to learn music. And our philosophy is really led by personal interest. So if you, as a prospective student, are really interested in learning how to be the next Lady Gaga, we want you to pick up voice lessons and we want you to learn how to sing. If you're interested in learning the works of Mozart and Beethoven, then we'd love to see you take the keyboard. It's really about what makes that student excited. Personal interest and passion is what's going to motivate that learning and keep that student invested to make it to their goals.
Daniel's Music Foundation really seems to promote a philosophy of giving. Do you think that impacts your teaching at all?
Yeah, that philosophy of giving really permeates everything that we do at the foundation. When it comes to individual lessons, the way that it really comes into my lessons is I'm really focused on the individual and thinking about not necessarily what I believe is, the best course for them, but really trying to give them that gift of music and focus on their goals and how to get them there. And making sure that they're not making music in a bubble, in a vacuum, making sure that they are connected with other students and have the chance to perform and celebrate their successes when it's time to do so.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like it's despite the pandemic, it seems like with your virtual lessons, that's something that's able to continue.
Absolutely. I think it's pretty much once a week now that we're hosting some form of virtual event, and it's been really amazing to see people come together and celebrate each other making music, and to laugh and have a good time. We do everything from these sort of formal recital type events where people get to share months or years of hard work that they've done in practicing their songs, all the way to these dance parties where people, there's no pretense. We just get up and we dance in our own living rooms, in our bedrooms, and we just have a lot of fun with each other. We have these events that are going on once or twice a week, and we have virtual lessons that are running throughout the week. And You can get involved in any way that you want to. And yeah, we would love to see anyone at our next event or joining us for a lesson.
Hey, could you share a website and a phone number for Daniel's Music Foundation with us?
Absolutely. So it's danielsmusic.org. And when you get there, there's a big button that says virtual community. And I would encourage everybody to click on the virtual community and see everything that's going on there.
Thank you so much. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, and it seems like we also have some time for a live music demonstration. So I think everyone would really love to see some of that. Is there anything you would want me to know before we get started on that at all?
Sure. So we're going to do a really condensed keyboard lesson today. Normally, this would be something that I would take maybe 30, 40 minutes or more to get my students up to speed with this, but we're going to condense it today so that you can see the flow and how we would take a student who has never touched the keyboard to learning their first song.
Okay, well, great. I look forward to it.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to do a little keyboard demo here. We're going to go through a prospective student that has never seen a keyboard before, has never touched it before. And typically what I have them do is I'm big on look, see, touch. We serve a mixed disability population, so I'm always thinking about multimodal learning. No matter who my student is, I'm always going to ask them to touch the piano, just run their fingers over the keys, feel the flatness of the white keys, feel the raised up black keys, notice the groupings of them. Almost all of my students, I teach them how to find the letter names of the keys by looking at the different groupings of the black keys. And here what I would do for our first song is gravitate them towards these first two black keys here. What I often teach as a first song is Ode to Joy by Beethoven. The reason I teach that song is because it's a very simple melody. It's universally recognizable. And even though it's simple, it's not like a nursery rhyme like Mary Had a Little Lamb, because I have adult students, and some of them may like Mary Had a Little Lamb, but not all of my adult students want to learn nursery rhymes all the time.
I may have to admit that that's the only song I know on the piano.
That's okay. Hopefully, you'll know a second one if I do my job right here today. So I'm going to help a student find the first note of the song by directing them to the two black keys. I'm going to tell them that the letter E is the note that happens to the right of the right black key there. And we're going to find that note. And in a full lesson, what I would typically do is just have them play the game of finding every E on the keyboard up and down. And we would take a couple minutes to do that. We would go through that with every note that we would use in the song. C, D, E, F, and G. We're going to fast forward. We're going to pretend that we spent 15 or 20 minutes learning those 5 notes and where they are on the keyboard. So now, Imani, you know where those 5 notes are. We're going to take you to your song. And like I said earlier in the interview, what I've kind of come to believe in my teaching philosophy is that time and repetition are the best gift that I can give to my students. So what I'll often do for a beginning student is I'll play a pattern, and then we'll play it together 3, 4, 5 times until that feels really natural and confident. And then we go on and we add the next section, and it's called forward chaining. We start with 1 measure, then we have 2, then we have 3, and eventually we get to having a whole song put together, and the student is ready to go. So I would start with E, E, F, G. Just those 4 notes, and I would have them repeat it. And we would play it together 5, 6 times, get that going. And then I play the next section. F, G, G, F, E, D. And then I have them play that with me. We would play it together. And eventually we're playing the whole song together. And that would be our first piano lesson.
Okay, well, that seems like it's something that is pretty simple and easy to learn for a lot of people who might be intimidated by music.
Yeah, one of the things that Ken and Daniel, say regularly is everybody is a musician. And we really do believe that. I don't think, I hear a lot of people come into classes and lessons and say something like, I'm tone deaf or I wasn't born with that talent. And to us, we don't believe that. We believe that everybody has some form of musical ability inside them. And yeah, anybody can learn how to play an instrument. Anybody can learn how to sing.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your background and also your philosophy around music. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. This was a blast.
Yeah, thanks so much. And thanks everyone for watching. Well, I had a lot of fun with you today, Mark, and I hope you did too.
I did. I've never participated like that midday where you're drumming and listening to instrumentals and all kinds of things that Daniel's Music Foundation offers. And it's was such an honor to be picked to. They wanted to be on our show, and so there was lots of things to learn. And I think there's lots more things to learn. And again, let me reiterate that when we do make the announcement for who gets the scholarship here in Minnesota, we're going to have those folks back on so they know who won. And I'd like to invite you back to Armani.
Thanks so much, Mark.
You bet. So, what did you learn from the show today?
I learned, I mean, I think I just really was reminded by how music is something that everyone can enjoy. And I think it's something that's really fun and energizing. So I think that's something that I'll have to keep remembering.
Right. Well, and when you deal with music, there's something in it for everyone. And we hope all the folks at home who do watch this show got a little something out of this today and will take something with them. So, for that, with that, we'd like to thank everybody for watching and Steve Brunsberg and Terry and all the crew here at SBNN and Amani for being on again today. And again, thank you to Daniel's Music Foundation out of New York. I'm Mark Hughes for the entire team of Disability Viewpoints. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.